Earlier, we got into fiber and the fiber myth. I'm glad we covered that. I want to pivot off that and talk about fermented foods. Again, something we should really cover in a conversation about the microbiome. So early on in somebody's healing journey versus later on, you've talked about histamine, bring that in as well. And then what can we get to actually repopulate from those foods?
So what I've found, and this could be correlation, so take this with a grain of salt, but what I've found with a lot of traditional ferments from around the globe is that the ferment has the microbe, that the beneficial microbe in the region that it comes from, that is the best against the pathogens in that region. So if we look to Latin and South America, and we think of the Spanish conquest and what happened to the Mayans, right? The story we've all heard is that smallpox, right? Smallpox took down the populations. Well, it was really a year later when this happened. And the traditional ferments of that region produced the right microbes to actually prevent things like smallpox. So really, when you take out the traditional ferments of the region, you don't have as many protections against the pathogens of the region. So, someone coming from Russia is really going to push beet kvass. And someone coming from, let's say Mexico City is going to push pulque. My favorite. It's my favorite. It's delicious to me. And so each region is going to have their own thing. They can be good. Something like a kefir has a lot of antihistamine strains. So does kimchi, actually. So most ferments are pretty high histamine, but it depends how long they're fermented. The cheeses in France, they're raw, and they do raw right in France. So health food. And it's not like England. Sorry, England. And and so it's protecting you from things in that region. Same with Mongolia. So the traditional ferments can be good to use, but what I see done more in America and Australia and kind of places where this has become a fad to like bring in lots of them is that they're used like a side dish, whereas really they're meant to be condiments. Right? Traditional mustard is a ferment. You can make it in 5 minutes. It's fabulous. And each one is going to have different little microbes that help you. The only thing I would say is that a lot of them are lacta ferments, and those are going to increase lactic acid, which can overstimulate the nervous system. So if you're someone who has a lot of anxiety, just see how you feel on them. You may not feel as great on those. It may be too much lactic acid for you. May not be. There's different causes of anxiety, but I think they're pushed as this cure-all, and they are important, but they're not nearly as important as our birth microbes. They don't make up for them.
The way you navigated that, talking about different areas and having their specific fermented foods, it gets me thinking about us here in the West and people that are praising these and thinking they're great and bringing all of them together and putting them in their fridge. How do you look at that from a geographic analysis of the health benefits?
It's definitely not ancestral. It's not ancestral. Yeah. And of course, it depends if you're making your own versus if you're importing, because some of these microbes are regional. So like anyone who's tried to make sourdough bread, there's a reason why San Francisco Bay Area loves their sourdough, right? There's certain regions where certain microbes do best in. So if you're importing it from those regions, like when I have someone with sinus issues without a swab, we're going to go for El Sakai, which is found in Korean kimchi. That's not going to be found necessarily in the kimchi made here, even if it's made from scratch. So sometimes we seek that out to get the right microbe. But so it would depend if you had made them all yourself or if you were cultivating them or bringing them from elsewhere. But in general, it's not very traditional.
If you enjoyed that clip, you're going to want to head over here and catch a full episode. I'll see you over there.
We're all born with about 200 very important microbes, and they're starting to go endangered. Now we're lucky to get a handful. We're missing a lot of them. And I think as soon as the public starts to learn about how important these are, there's going to be a massive race.